It's Hexy. You might notice something different on my table here. Unfortunately, I took down the two games I was playing. I'm sure I'll regret it later, but I don't know. The brain was not wanting to focus for some reason on those. Um, Both Battle for Stalingrad and Army Group Center, very very good games. Battle for Stalingrad, very unique system. From what I understand, there was one other game that was made, the Battle of Hue in Vietnam, what Don Johnson tells me. And that one, I think both of those games, I need to play them with nothing else set up. Just focus on one of those. So I got a feeling those games will stay in my inventory and I will come back to them sometime because they were both very, very unique. So I made a decision that I want to kind of stay in games that, series of games that I have a good understanding of all the rules. I don't feel like learning a new system. So you're looking at Ukraine 43. Now, granted, I know they don't claim it as a system, but I think all of us gamers out there consider it the Simonitch 4X system. All right. So I want to backtrack a little bit. We know that I've played France 40, Ardennes 40, and I played both of them to completion. And I set up Holland 44. Let's see, wait a minute. So France 40, played that to completion. Ardennes 44, I played that to completion. And Holland 44, I set it up and started, and I took it down because for some reason, maybe I'll revisit that one later too, but I just did not enjoy it. Ardennes 44, I mean, I played it to the end, and I believe it was a German victory, just barely, but for some reason, I feel like I got much out of it. And maybe that's just me, maybe bad timing, I don't know. France 40, loved the daylights out of it. I set up Normandy 44, but I never really got to play it. I think I had to move something around. So I still have Ukraine, this one here, Ukraine 43, I have Stalingrad 42, and I have Salerno. I don't look for me playing Salerno. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. And then I also had North Africa 41, which I did not buy. At this particular moment, I don't plan on buying it. But watching Kev with Big Board play it, that could potentially change my mind. But for now, we have one game set up. I do have a squad leader map that's been sitting over here with counters on it. I've played 2 turns and I haven't touched it since. Or starter kit. I need to finish that. I probably won't. Probably take it down. I don't know. It's one of them phases, I guess. But I set this one up. Finished setting it up last night. And finished reading the rules this evening. Mostly it's just refresher stuff and making sure you understand the special rules. But we're talking here just shortly after the Kursk. The battles around Kursk in August of 43. They would have been in July of 43. And the Russians just launched a massive offensive around the Kharkov area. So the game here is victory point based on the turn record track. You need to be within, 5 either way of whatever's on the track to keep the game going. If you hit 6 or more on a certain turn, like if the point, what do they call it? They call it the victory point benchmark. If you're 6 or more above it, then it's an automatic victory for the Russians. And if the game turn goes all the way out to game turn 21, if the Russians have, I don't know, I was just reading, there's so many victory points and they're going to win it anyhow. So this is a get after it as fast as you can and as constant as you can with the Russians, and react as the Germans, and try to stall, halt, stop, stomp on their progression as much as you can. You can't just retreat off of this because of the victory point bases. And there's a few major victory point locations in the front lines. Kharkov, down here in this area here, you see there's a whole bunch. So that's probably going to be an area that needs to be protected well by the Germans as best they can. And reading the designer notes, well, first thing they recommend is try to stretch the German defenses. And the best place to do that is up here by Sumy, going to the west. And I'm looking at the map, studying the map, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. 2 reasons. It would pull the German line across, definitely having to stretch it to cover all of this ground. All right, instead of that little short piece, now they would have to cover all of this if you can break out up there with the Russians. Option good number 2 up there There's nothing mechanized up there. That's all infantry in the top above Sumy. There are some mechanized forces in this area here. They're going to have to be dealt with. Manstein sitting here in Kharkov, which he and Zhukov are on the map, and they have special benefits. Manstein has 1 he can use, and Zhukov can use 2 each turn. Not going to discuss those. They're just die roll modifiers or combat shifts. Another option I was thinking is, what about down here in the south? Let's turn this down a little bit. And I broke off the map into 4 areas, 4 operational areas. All right. The Sumy operational area up there has 7 victory points total in it. The Kharkov operational area has 10. And then down here, 2 in the south, you got the Dnepropetrovsk area. They have 10 using the river. And then there's 14 down here in the Zaporozhye operational area with Melitopol, Pico or Perico, Stalino. All right. And I also believe this is where the von Manstein's backhand blow begins, or where this happens at. I don't remember. I played that game a long time ago, but looks like the same area pretty much. So I broke it down into those 1, 2, 3, 4 operational areas, and to sort of divide up the map. This is all wide open down here, and it looks like maybe not the majority of Soviet forces, but there's a lot here, and it's easier to reach from the Soviet entry hexes over to the right of the map for reinforcements coming on, which don't start till turn 2, and they come on 1 or 2 or 3 at a time, maybe at the most. The Germans do get some heavy, potent stuff initially, and then they get a few more heavy units later on during the game. But the ticket here is to delay them. So I either thought maybe with the forces here in the south, start to sweep through here, cut off this area first, see if we can't clean up these victory locations, or listen to what the designer was saying and get up top there and start that breakout up there going across and try to swallow up 5 or 6 of those victory points. So the benchmarks by turn 7, which is September 1st, the benchmark is 8, and that would be the end of the first scenario. But of course, I'm going to try to play as much of this as I can. So I got to decide on which route I want to take with this. This is a Zachman system, which is, I think it's unique in itself, and it does allow you to play bigger games with a lot less counters on the map. Most of these units are in divisions. You have some support units, which you can add to a stack. Like your tank destroyer units, some armor units, stuff like that. And you've got Soviet artillery. Notice the Germans don't have any artillery. Both have access to 2 airstrikes each turn, which can be used to give column shifts in combat. What else? What are the little odds and features? There's special rules in the saying. You got an airborne drop for the Soviets that start on turn 8. To help take crossings over the Dnieper, I guess. So we'll have to look into that when turn 8 gets here for what we're going to do. But for the time being, it's a debate of, all right, do I stretch to the north, break out, or encircle Stalino in the south, encircle this pocket of victory points, try to cut off Kharkov and take it? Because the Germans need to fight. They need to defend. They can't run away. You don't want to give up those victory points. And then really not sure what this can do here. There is a mechanized infantry unit, a Panzer Grenadier unit sitting right here. But there's a couple of good stacks of Russians in here that could break out and shoot through. Maybe take Dnepropetrovsk, Krivoy Rog, maybe Nikopol, maybe even drive down here to Cherson and Nikolaev. So, I don't know. That's I think those are my 4 options. If you have any suggestions, any comments, let me know what if you've played this, what your plan was, how it came out as the Russians or the Germans for that matter, and little tactical strategy tips you want to give. So I think we're going to get after this. So the rules are read. I'm ready to go, and let's start playing. Talk to you soon.